What if the future of skincare isn't just about beauty, but about sustainability, inclusivity, and rewriting the rules of entrepreneurship? Welcome to Industry Ignited. I'm Dr. Leeanne Aguilar, and today I'm joined by Ayesha Ibrahim, CEO of Honeycorn, an award-winning ethical beauty brand reshaping skincare through sustainability, innovation, and inclusive design. Ayesha, welcome to the show.
Hello, Leanne. Thank you so very much for inviting me to be here on Industry Ignited. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'm really excited about this conversation today, and I know you're joining us from England. Is that right? The UK?
Yes, I'm based in England, London. That's correct. Yep.
All right. Well, so tell us about how you got started. I know your journey into entrepreneurship is deeply personal. What inspired you to transition from working for others to building Honeycorn?
So, really, for me, the reason for starting Honeycorn was I really wanted to be my own boss because I realized that working 9 to 5 didn't really fit into my day to day in terms of being a mum to a beautiful baby boy at the time. Having to pick him up from nursery. If he had a fever, I'd get a call from work that I had to leave straight away to go and pick him up. This would happen quite often, as what happens with children when they go to school and nursery. They pick up all sorts of germs, and it's also great for their immune system. However, when you're in the middle of your workday and you get called to go and pick up your child from school, I noticed that it wasn't really appreciated by my boss or my peers. People would look at me sideways as if to say, what is she doing? Why is she going at this time? And I think really what I began to realize is that, there's 24 hours in a day. We've got the World Wide Web is open 24/7. And when I approached my boss to see if I could work from home or to have more flexible hours, it was pretty much shut down straight away. There was no working from home back then. It was 9 to 5. Those were your hours, very, very, very rigid. It didn't work for me, unfortunately. It gave me a huge amount of stress, pressure, and I wasn't able to be the best mum that I wanted to be. And also be the best employee. So I chose to start my own business, meaning that I could choose my own hours, be my own boss. So I could take my son to nursery, get home, feed him, do all the things that I needed to do with him. And then when he was asleep, if it was 9 o'clock at night and I needed to work to 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I was able to build those hours around my son and being a mum. It was
Right.
much more flexible for me.
Yeah, no, I very much relate with you. I experienced a similar situation when I entered entrepreneurship and started my business, much for the same reasons. I mean, just that flexibility with young children. And, I had 3 little kids at the time, and just being able to be there for them, especially when they started school, being able to attend their activities. But then on the other hand, like you mentioned as well, staying up late, working on weekends, there's that trade-off as well. But that flexibility was a big motivator. Now, you shared that your business was born both from motherhood and also a personal skin challenge. How did those experiences shape your vision and product philosophy?
Yeah, so when I had my son, I suffered with postpartum eczema, and I went to my doctors, my GP, and one of the things that was prescribed to me was steroid cream. I was told by my doctor, yes, you can use a steroid cream, but you can only use it for a short amount of time. And also one of the side effects is that it thins the skin. So being a mom, I really wanted to be using natural products. I didn't want to be using steroid cream on my skin. So I started to research and investigate the properties and the benefits of using honey for skin complaints or skin allergies or for eczema, that sort of thing. And I found that honey was actually really fantastic. It really soothed the symptoms, it relieved the symptoms. And so I delved so much deeper into it. I thought this is a super ingredient, that I really need to research this. And what I found was that, prior to, in the First World War, I believe it was, they used to use honey to actually heal wounds, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. This was before the introduction of penicillin.
Hmm.
So I went to the British Library. I started looking through all sorts of old documentation. I started researching the the Papyrus Ebers, which is the first medical document and book which was put together by the ancient Egyptians. And I started researching some of their ingredients and some of their formulations. And I was really fascinated by all these different ingredients that had been used since antiquity. And I thought, why don't I try and make this into a business?
Wow.
So while I was temping at another job, I went back and I started temping. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to start a market stall and see if I can make any sales. It was a risk. It was a sunny day in Notting Hill, the world famous Notting Hill market. And I discovered that actually people were putting their hands in their pocket and giving
Hmm.
me back then cash money. They were spending their hard-earned money on my products. So this really gave me the confidence to really look at Honeycorn as a business. Of course, just starting very small. But then I went to a number of trade shows and started to get really, really good feedback on my products. And I started to feel a lot more confident that I have something here and I could actually make a business out of it and be an entrepreneur.
Right.
And so here I am today, still on that journey.
So I'm hearing you, I mean, you found something that really worked for you. You did the research,
Yeah,
on the ingredients, on the properties,
yeah,
tested the market,
yeah,
started small, like you said, did
yeah.
some testing and found that there really was a demand there. You had interest from customers and it was working for other people as well. And that said, I know the entrepreneurial journey is rarely linear. So what were some of the defining highs and lows that shaped your resilience in the early years?
Well, when you start a business, when you're an entrepreneur, it really is uncharted territory. If you haven't done it before, or if you don't come from a family of entrepreneurs, every day is a learning experience, every day is a stepping stone. So, one of the things for me was I went to my local business hub, who were absolutely fantastic. And they advised and guided me on the best way to protect my business, whether it be trademarks, intellectual property, getting my company registered with Companies House, which we have to do in the UK. Making sure that had all the legislation, was adhering to all the legislation in terms of being able to create products legally and to be able to sell them legally. It really was an exploratory journey, and it still is. And I would say there's a lot of problem solving that needs to be done when beginning a business because, as I say, it is uncharted territory and it is learning on the job, literally learning on the job, which I found absolutely fascinating and I enjoyed. I remember going to my first trade show. Again, there I learned so much. And I think when you're in business, don't expect to know it all. Every
Hmm.
day is a learning experience and
Right.
really is about gaining knowledge, and knowledge is power, really.
Yeah. And did you find help from mentors? Did you find that others were willing to share about their journey and help along the way as well?
Yeah, I've had some amazing mentors along the way who have really signposted me on my journey of the things I should be doing, the people I should be talking to. So mentors are absolutely amazing and very, very important on the entrepreneurial journey. So I had mentors from the Portobello Business Centre, also from a number of chambers of commerce, the London Chamber of Commerce, the Kensington, Chelsea, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And they've been incredible on this journey, advising me. And also, it's been a great opportunity to network as well. Networking is something I really, really enjoy doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You make some good points there. Just like reaching out to the local resources, to business resources. And I mean, having a good mentor can really help prevent, some of the business mistakes that a lot of people make in the early stages. If you don't have to reinvent the wheel, might as well learn from somebody else and avoid those mistakes. And so you have also spoken about starting with a simple natural remedy. At what point did you realize this could evolve into a scalable global brand?
I think after doing markets, testing my products at pop-up shops, in offices, it was when I went to my first trade mission. It was natural organics. It was a natural organics trade show in London in Excel. And the feedback that I was getting was absolutely incredible. I also went to meet with a buyer of Fortnum and Masons when I first started. And they were very, very interested in the brand, in the products. And they said it was one for the future. However, I'll never forget the lady. She looked behind her and she said, look at all these skincare products. You know, what is your marketing budget? And we're talking about some of the biggest brands in the world here. So it was a great in, and it just made me realize that I do have something that such a great brand like that would actually have a meeting with me and say that my brand is one for the future. So that really gave me confidence. However, I am still on the journey. It is very, very competitive in the skincare industry. And one of the things that's been a real challenge is investment to get my business to the next stage in terms of real growth.
Hmm.
Because I do want my brand to be a global brand, you know, whether it be the US, China, Europe. Also, one of the big challenges for my business was Brexit. So that was a massive hindrance on my business. And again, something that I had to overcome in terms of looking at new markets and new territories to sell my products.
Yeah, interesting. So how far along were you in the journey when Brexit happened?
Well, it was about 3 months before Brexit actually was introduced. And I went on my first trade mission to the Czech Republic, and I managed to secure a distributor, which I was so excited and delighted about. And they work with some of the biggest brands in the world. And then it was about 3 to 4 months after that, I started realizing the impact that Brexit was going to have on my business in terms of
Oh,
legislation, packaging, labeling. Everything
uh-huh.
changed. And I think a lot of the big brands, small, medium, large, were pretty much on a level playing field because it wasn't clear what the new rules were.
Mm.
And it really affected my business in terms of exporting to Europe, which is disappointing because, you know, Europe is our closest neighbor.
Yeah.
And it would have been a great opportunity for me to export to Europe, but there it's still very, very complicated in terms of tax,
Mm.
the value added tax, all the increase in tax that are added to products in terms of shipping to Europe. So
Yeah.
that's really where I started looking at the China market. And I did also look at the US market. Geopolitics is a real big problem in terms of now exporting to America. There are tariffs. How is that going to impact my business? How is that going to impact my pricing? And it seems like in the geopolitical world, it's changing minute by minute, second by second. So
Right.
it's battle keeping up.
Yeah. I think so, especially for a smaller company or a startup, right? Navigating those complicated landscapes of the geopolitical,
Absolutely, especially
changes.
yeah, I mean, especially when you don't have a big team behind you as well. Really having to make it up as you go along, research on the job as the legislation is changing daily. Yeah, it's a struggle, it's a battle. The struggle is real, but
Hmm.
you know, you just got to keep going, especially if you really believe in your product and you believe in your business.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you changed strategy then, and you instead of going towards the European market, you shifted and are looking at different markets.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I did look at the US market, but I was pretty much told that I needed to treat each state as its own country because they all
Right.
have their own laws. Again, that's really quite complicated.
Yeah.
So it was in September 2021, the rules changed in China where products no longer needed to be tested on animals. And this was an absolute game changer for a brand like mine, meaning that I could actually enter the market in an ethical,
Mm.
sustainable, and inclusive way. So, again, going on trade missions, working with the Department for Business and Trade, who offered a Meet the Buyer event, I was able to match my business with a Chinese business. And we've launched there this year, actually, which I'm absolutely delighted and excited about.
Congratulations. That's super exciting. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it sounds like in that situation, yeah, the when the rules changed, it actually benefited you. It was to your advantage. It made things easier to get to
Absolutely.
market. N-
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, honey corn stands out with its use of natural honey-based formulations. What makes honey such a powerful and differentiated ingredient in skincare?
Honey is just incredible. I mean, one of the stories that I read was there was a jar of honey that was actually found in one of the tombs in Egypt. It had been there for thousands of years. And when it was opened, it actually hadn't gone off. It's actually one
Wow.
of one of the only foodstuffs that actually doesn't go off if it's treated and stored correctly. So it's kind of like a magic ingredient almost. And also, depending on where the bees actually collect their nectar and their pollen, it can actually have different medicinal benefits. And I found this absolutely fascinating. And it's something that I really want to explore more. Like with Manuka honey, it has special medicinal benefits, but I would really like to do that with different honeys from around the world. I'd like to explore honey from Africa, honey from America, because depending on the soil, which I like to call the terroir in a way, it does have different benefits for the skin and also eating it as well.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess that does make sense, right? I mean, it comes down to the what kind of flower, like you mentioned, the soil where it's produced. I've been to farmers markets where they sell honey and have had different flavored honey that's, derived from the different types of flowers and environments, but I hadn't thought about like the medicinal implications as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really amazing. There's a honey that I really want to start exploring. It's called a mad honey, actually, and it comes from the Himalayan mountains. And the bees actually propagate and they pollinate on hallucinogenic plants and flowers. And I really want to explore the scientific side of that, which I think could be quite interesting. So I really want to explore more honeys from around the world. At the moment, I'm sourcing from the UK, but I'd
Uh-huh.
really like to extend and expand that into different honeys from different parts of the world with the different medicinal benefits.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Now, you've been a pioneer in gender neutral skincare, which was actually, a new concept for me. I hadn't thought about that before. What market insight led you to challenge traditional segmentation in the beauty industry?
Yeah, we're kind of the pioneers in the gender neutral skincare space, and I feel like the world has actually caught up with our concept. When I was doing my markets, my pop up shops, and also exhibitions, one of the things that I found speaking to many women was that many of their husbands or boyfriends were actually using their skincare products. And I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. So, men and women can use the same skincare products. And I think there's been much more interest from men in maintaining their skin and looking after their skin, either because their girlfriends, their wives, or their mothers have spoken to them about it. And I just feel like everybody wants to kind of be like social media ready, whether it's Instagram, TikTok. People want to look after their skin. And it means that if you start young, if you start looking after your skin young, you don't need to have, the Botox, the plastic surgeries. I mean, if that's something that people want to do, that's their individual choice. But
Right.
it is good to look after skin when you're young, really. Moisturize every day.
Yeah, just maintenance. I think, yeah, maintenance just for
Absolutely.
longevity and for appearance and like for medical reasons as well. I know for conditions like eczema or for, rosacea or other skin issues, that's there it's not limited to just women. Men experience these things
Absolutely.
as well. So
I mean,
yeah.
one of the things that I find working, because I do a lot of corporate pop-up shops as well, a lot of men were really intrigued. They really want to be educated about skincare.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of why my packaging is very minimalist. And also it can be attractive to men and women. It's not the kind
Right.
of product that, is just designed for a woman. It can also be designed for a man as well. And I think the whole thing with the metrosexual man, David Beckham was very famous for, the man bag and, so
Yeah.
I think with things like that, I just feel like the world has caught up. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cosmetics and skincare in general, you're right, have been focused or really have marketed towards females in general. So men, I'm hearing, are ready to hear or be marketed to or taking more of an interest in their skin and maintaining their skincare. Now, your products emphasize clean, ethical, and sustainable ingredients, like you mentioned. How do you balance product efficacy, luxury positioning, and sustainability?
Well, I have a wonderful supplier who is, they are sustainable. So whatever they take, they give back. So whether it's essential oils that I'm using, they're very, very high grade, high quality essential oils from all around the world. And my suppliers ensure that they also replant as well. They replant any of the flowers, bark, trees. They make sure that they are sustainable in their practices. So that's really, really important to me. We have a Beer Keeper campaign or an initiative where anybody who buys honeycorn skincare in the UK, they receive native wildflower seeds, which they're able to sow in their gardens, in their local park, in order to help the bee population, because bees are the most endangered species on our planet right now. And if bees go, they're taking us with them pretty
Wow.
much. So yeah, that's our little effort to give back what we take from the bees and to kind of improve and increase the bee population, which is really,
Yeah.
really important in this day and age.
Wow. So do you include seeds then with your products, like inside
I
of your
do.
packaging?
I do
Oh,
that
that's so
mainly in the
cool.
UK. Yeah, I do that in the UK. I'm not able to do it internationally yet because I'm not able to send UK native seeds to, say, like America or
Oh,
Australia.
right.
So at the moment, it is limited to the UK, but I would love to be able to do that on an international scale with local native seeds from, from the country where I'm going to be selling honey.
Right.
So that's something that I'd really like to do in the future.
What a unique idea. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Aisha, from artisanal beginnings to a growing product line, how have you approached product innovation and expansion while maintaining brand integrity?
Well, it's been a lot of experimenting. Honeycomb Skincare is a kitchen table business which has grown. We are able to work with co-manufacturers in the UK to ensure that all our products are to the standard, the UK standard that's required, and also the global standard in order to export. And it's really important to me that I use the finest ingredients in my products. Just to give you an example, we use vanilla in one of our perfume oils, which is sourced from Madagascar, and vanilla is actually more expensive than silver. So we really do try to ensure that we use the finest ingredients and we test the market as well. We work with a biochemist to ensure that all our products are safe to use and that our percentages and our mixes are safe to use as well. So that really helps in terms of efficacy and ensuring that we're aligning with any legislation that's out there to ensure that our products are safe to use.
Right. That's great. Now, you've had the opportunity to represent UK businesses internationally and participate in global trade missions. How has that exposure shaped your growth strategy?
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to be invited to go onto these trade missions that the government support. They really are on a mission for the UK to export. We are such a tiny island and there's a huge wide world out there. And I do think that there are a lot of countries around the world that see products that come from the UK as luxurious, heritage, brands that can really be trusted. So it really is such an honor to have been given the opportunity to fly the flag for great British businesses, small businesses. I've been on trade missions to Dubai, most recently in China, which was last year with the Secretary of State. I had the honor of being invited to the Great Hall of the People and to represent my brand and small and medium-sized enterprises alongside some of the biggest brands in the world. So it's a real honor to be recognized and to be given the opportunity to represent my brand and small businesses to
Yeah.
export to China and the world.
Wow. Yeah, what a wonderful honor and opportunity. That sounds fascinating and yeah, so interesting. I'm sure you met a lot of interesting people and learned a lot about, trade and international on the international stage.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to network. I mean, I think a lot of these opportunities came about from just showing up, really, whether it's virtual training sessions, which the Department for Business and Trade do quite a lot, to meet the buyer events. And it really is just about showing up.
Mm,
And I think that is the reason why I've been invited to a number of trade missions because
awesome.
I was able to network and they see how hard I'm working. And yeah, it's a great honor to represent the UK.
Yeah, and committed to your cause and to your products as well. And
Absolutely.
that's great. And I'm hearing that, I mean, like, great advice there, like just show up. And I think that, I mean, that is key to finding opportunities because these are opportunities I would think a lot of small businesses probably don't even know exist. And getting out there and learning about, what's out there opens up these opportunities.
Absolutely. It really is about showing up, and it's great to meet people. And yeah, networking is definitely very, very important in terms of potentially finding new clients, finding new territories, new opportunities. It's something that I've been doing for quite a few years, and it's fun as well. I
Yeah.
enjoy meeting people from all walks of life and from all sorts of businesses and learning about their businesses and being able to tell them about my business. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. So, Aisha, you've secured partnerships with major global organizations. What has been key to building credibility and trust as a growing brand?
I think having the right team around me, I was able to secure an exclusive partnership with an airline amenities company that provides amenities for first and business class airlines. And I think one of the reasons why they really liked my products was because they are gender neutral. And like I say, we were one of the pioneers at the time in the gender neutral skincare space. And so they love the concept. They also love the concept of the Be a Keeper. They are very much into sustainability. That's the heart of their business. And there was real alignment in terms of their sustainability practices and also my sustainability practices. It was a long journey. It was a long conversation working with lawyers to secure the partnership. But I think at the end of the day, I'd created a brand that was in demand and wasn't really in a mass way. Gender neutral wasn't really a big thing back in the day like it is now. So yeah, I think I had great lawyers. So they really help in terms of trust. And also just having a great brand concept. I think that was the reason why they really trusted me and the products were fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So the partnerships, the right people, the right counsel, that really makes sense, right? To have that all secured, and that enhances the credibility, and then people feel more comfortable, and that trust is built right from that credibility as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Launching in China with the Metro Group this year, it's really is about personal relationships. Actually, I think
Hmm.
that people buy from people that they like, and that's something that I've always been taught in marketing and sales. I think that's really, really important to build up rapport and
Right.
relationship with people, so that you can build credibility and trust.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. And you mentioned sustainability. I know it's central to your mission, from sourcing to supporting bee populations. How do you embed purpose into every layer of your business model?
This is something that's really personal to me. My family are from West Africa, they're from Sierra Leone, and I was able to see firsthand the effects that climate change are having on farmers. And my family, they grow a plethora of crops in West Africa and Sierra Leone. And it really hit home when I visited them. This was before I started the dire effect it was having on their livelihoods, especially in one of the poorest countries in the world. So there would be situations where their crops would fail, and in a country that is rife with poverty, as well. I mean, this is something that was on the doorstep of these farmers, and being quite far away from it in the UK. You go to the local shop and you buy your food. You don't necessarily see the life of the farmer that's actually put that food
Right.
and harvested that food on your plate. And so being so up close and personal with these farmers and hearing their problems, their struggles,
Wow.
the fact that climate change was actually having a huge effect on them. Their rains were longer, their crops would be spoiled. And so I think being so personal to me, it really made me kind of put a microscope on
Hmm.
the responsibility that we have to leave this earth in a better place for our children. And so I really do try and be as sustainable as I can with every part of my business. And I think it's our responsibility and our duty to respect the planet and leave a better planet for our children.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, as consumers, we're so removed from like the reality of what it takes to, farm and to create the products that we use. And therefore, I think education also is a big part of um, marketing. It's like when you're creating your business and you're creating your products, part of it is telling the consumer what's happening out there, because you're a lot closer to the farmers than the consumer is, perhaps. And so, but it is important because they're their dollars, their choices, and those dollars fund the businesses, that are working with the farmers. And so that sustainability aspect and choosing products with people who care about those things is important.
There's 17 sustainable development goals, and there's a target of 2030 to reach those goals. And, I do try as much as I can with each of those goals to incorporate those ethics into my business. I think that's really important.
So you're also a strong advocate for women in business and underrepresented founders. What systematic barriers still exist and what needs to change?
Yeah, that term underrepresented founders, women, people of color, people from different sexual orientations. I actually like to prefer the term underestimated founders as opposed to underrepresented founders. I actually think they go hand in hand. We're underrepresented and we're underestimated. Considering the fact that, there's pretty much 50-50 men and women on this planet, I think it's absolutely amazing that only 1.8% of women get any kind of venture capital investment in their businesses. And yeah, which is incredible, really. And so I really think that there needs to be much more allyship. I think that, men need to kind of step up for women in business. There are men out there who have daughters, who have wives, who are ambitious. And I'd really like them to take a look at their households and see the disparities in terms of female entrepreneurs and the fact that only 1.8% of women actually get any kind of investment. And I believe the research was done by Bowhurst. And in the UK, because of the lack of investment in female founded businesses, we're pretty much leaving 296 billion pounds on the table. So I hope that people will be a bit more open-minded and think about investing in female founded businesses and also underrepresented businesses as well.
That's a staggering statistic and a
Isn't
call
it?
to women as well there's a lot of opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, there's, pretty much 50% of women and pretty much 50% of men. So why is there this disparity? And I hope that that will change for future generations. I really, really do hope for that.
Yeah, me too. Now, for women balancing entrepreneurship, family, and leadership, what mindset shifts or strategies have been critical to your success?
I've been listening to and reading quite a few books about feminine energy and how women really need to get into their feminine energy in business. I think there's a pressure or maybe just a status quo to kind of follow the masculine energy in business. And I don't think that's right. I think women need to find their own way of doing business. I think we can be quite hard on ourselves in terms of the way we do business, maybe comparing ourselves to men and the way they do business. And I think we need to do business better. What I find with myself is that I make myself feel bad or I feel guilty for not hammering my business all the time, 100% energy.
Yeah.
And I think understanding my feminine energy is that sometimes you do need to take time. You do need to take a rest from your business because you can become burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel guilty for that. I don't think we should feel guilty for giving our brain a break, giving our bodies a break, and, spending time with our families whilst doing our businesses. I think that's really important. And I think that a lot of women have this thing where we feel guilty all the time for doing X, Y, and Z. And I think we need to be softer on ourselves. And I think we need to embrace our feminine energy and do business like women do and not necessarily try and compete or emulate how men do business. That's something I'm beginning to realize a lot more.
Awesome. I like that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that. So it's really embracing feminine energy. What does that look like exactly? Like what qualities or what actions? So you mentioned taking time, not feeling as pressured. What else does that look like? I mean, for women who are wanting to embrace that.
Self-care, well-being. One of the things that, comes up a lot is procrastination. And I don't think it is always procrastination. I think sometimes you just need to take time out to let your ideas and let your thoughts brew, but don't feel guilty for not being at your laptop 24/7. I speak a lot to my friend, my very best friend, about business. And, she knows the ups and the downs. It's been a roller coaster journey for me in my business. And one of the things that she highlighted to me is that, it's a cycle. You go through
Hmm.
cycles. Women go through cycles. So we do have our ups and we do have our downs, and just embrace that and try not to feel guilty all the time or feel bad all the time. That's something that my best friend tells me, and my son's dad tells me. I mean, we're not together, but he's like, why are you feeling guilty for doing that or not doing that? Now, I think women put a lot of pressure on themselves, especially when we're juggling a lot. We're
Right.
a generation of women who are working for themselves, bringing up children. And we are
Hmm.
juggling a lot, actually. We are taking on more than maybe trad wife, maybe in the 1950s, 60s. So it is kind of like a different landscape.
Uh-huh.
And I think as women, we haven't really been here before. I mean, it is
Hmm.
still uncharted territory. So, yeah, it is about having a work life balance. That's something that I saw a lot during the pandemic. Like life seemed to slow down. I
Right.
think pandemic, it just seems to have sped up again, and it seems even faster now, I think,
Hmm.
life.
Yeah.
So I think you can beat yourself up about procrastination, but maybe it's not procrastination. Maybe it's just a time to sit, have self care, take care of your well being.
Yes.
And maybe procrastination isn't the right word.
It's like regeneration instead. It's
Regeneration. Exactly.
yeah.
Regeneration. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great perspective. I think that, yeah, it's really good advice for women. Right. We don't have to do things the same way, as our male counterparts, and neither one is wrong. It's just we have different needs. We have different needs. We have
Absolutely.
different biologies, different cycles, different.
As we have different seasons in a month,
Hmm. Very
literally.
true.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's to recognize the cycles, the ups, the downs, and to realize that, the downs aren't always, it's not always going to be a downtime. It's not always going to be negative. And, to really embrace the positive. And I think another thing as well is to kind of really celebrate your wins as well.
Hmm.
I think being in business as a female, I always feel like I'm running a race, and I was always in a rush to get somewhere. And it's just like, there was a time frame to become a successful entrepreneur. It really is about pacing yourself. And I think the journey is a marathon. One of the things that I didn't realize is that there were so many female entrepreneurs that became successful late in life. So maybe just slow down. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Celebrate the wins as well, and look back
Yeah.
at what you've achieved, because it's always looking forward, or the next job or the next responsibility. And sometimes it's just great just to sit back and look at what you have
Right.
achieved.
Yeah. Oh, I love all that. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's very encouraging, I think. And
Thank
yeah.
you.
So, Aisha, finally, as you look ahead, what is your long-term vision for Honeycorn and the broader impact you want to create in the beauty industry?
The long term vision is to become one of the biggest beauty brands in the world. I want my brand to go global, to be in four corners of the planet, even though it's round, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, and to compete with some of the biggest brands in the world. I feel that I have really had to hustle with my business. There are times when it's been like feast and famine in terms of my business. And so it's just, I mean, I'm still on the journey. It can be a struggle sometimes, but just to keep the hustle, keep the faith, and keep positive, and just
Yeah.
keep on moving. I think that's the best thing to do, is just to keep on moving and try and not to stagnate in terms of business.
Yeah, great advice. I think it is about the journey. It's not about the destination because I don't know that we ever really arrive, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the
Yeah.
journey has been amazing, and I wouldn't change it for the world. The journey has been really wonderful. It's been exciting. It has been a roller coaster ride, but I
Mm.
wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, but that's what keeps it interesting, right? It keeps us growing because if it was all predictable, if we knew the outcome, then there would be no growth.
Absolutely, absolutely agree with that.
Well, Aisha, thank you for joining me. And how can listeners learn more about you and Honeycorn?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can always go to my website, which is honeycornuk.com, or you can research me at Honeycorn UK. I'm also a motivational speaker, so I'm signed with a number of agencies as well. So my areas of expertise are sustainability, diversity, equity and inclusion, luxury business, and yeah, just trying to motivate teams really, and motivate females and entrepreneurs. So
Ah,
yeah, we look out for Honeycorn.
well, that makes perfect sense because I feel very motivated right now. So, businesses interested in motivational speakers should definitely give you a call, look you up.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in today to Industry Ignited. Be sure to subscribe and join us for the next episode. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and keep igniting industry.